Hello, my name is Toka McBaror. Welcome to my channel. On the last episode, we discussed about how to put a script together, how to go about certain things, how to go about your casting and all. But today we are going to be discussing some very, very vital issues. We'll be discussing costume and color palette. These two things are very vital to how your film will turn out to be. It's responsible for how your film will look and how it will feel. So if you've not subscribed to this channel, please go down there and press the subscribe button. And don't forget to click that bell so you'll be notified when we post the next video. All right, let's delve straight into why we're here. Costume. We've picked our story, we've picked our characters, we've identified those characters. Now, how do we want this film to look? Now, if you don't take these two things very seriously, you will definitely shoot something wrong. Now, the costumes you pick is dependent on the characterization of the individual. For instance, Ted. Maybe Ted works in a bank. So, a banker and a thief then. So that means he has to look a certain way. Maybe he's coming back from work the day he walked into that grocery store to steal. That means he'll be dressed in a certain way. How do bankers dress? So he probably will be wearing a shirt and maybe a jacket. Okay, he's coming from work, maybe the jacket is on his hand and his sleeves are folded up, you know? Something like that. So the characterization is what controls your costume selection. That's the type of costumes you select. If you're talking about a farmer that is living in the suburb, now you need to begin to think, how do farmers dress? A farmer in Mexico, how do they dress? A farmer in Africa, maybe Nigeria, how will they dress? So these are the things, the characterization and the placement of where you are placing your story is what controls these elements. So think about this very, very carefully before you begin to decide how to style the actors in terms of costume. So let's assume we've done that, we've picked all these things. Now we're ready to move to the next stage. There's one very fundamental thing that most filmmakers ignore, or maybe some of us don't know. It's called color paleting. Now, every great film, every successful film, that is one thing they look into very deeply. Color palette is so important that if you don't get it right, it will definitely affect the overall look of your job. It will affect the overall look of your film or whatever you're doing. So let me put it in simple terms. Matching colors. I have to display what color palette is right now so that you can be carried along and understand what we are trying to say. For instance, if you want to make a film, because we are starting, so don't forget, always get a reference. Okay, I want my movie to look like Tarzan. I want my movie to look like Fast and Furious. I want my movie to look like XYZ. So it gives you the advantage of choosing now the color of the costumes. If you look behind me, you see we have a lot of matching colors. You see brown, black, everything around has the same feel. It's because it's my office. So I think about these things a lot. I don't like loud colors. That's what I want. For some persons, they will probably put a pink something somewhere, or you need to understand what you are trying to do. Because if you have a reference of a movie like Wonder Woman, not the recent Wonder Woman, I think the World War II or 1960 something, I can't remember. It looks a certain way. Or if you're making a movie that is set in the 60s and you make it very colorful, more than usual, you probably will be missing the point. If you're filming in London in 1903, you know that it has to look brown and grit, a lot of grit. So there are things that work with certain places and certain time. So understand it. If you're making a movie about today and there are mobile phones, maybe it's a girl's room. The girl is she's a today girl that likes all the long hair, mobile phone, and she likes colors. That controls how your color paletting should be. If you've seen a movie like Crazy Rich Asians or Rich Crazy Asians, I'm not sure. Just Google it, check the color palette for that film. Then go and check the color palette for Lord of the Rings. They are not the same. So every great movie has a color palette. No matter how little what you want to do, it is vital that you think about the color paletting before you even go ahead. Now, why that is important is we don't have the budget. If not, up to the locations you use, the set you use, the color palette has a major role to play. Well, you may not be able to change much because, of course, we don't have the budget. We're discussing no budget. So that means you can't change a lot in your locations. You are using borrowed locations. You can't change the color of the paint in people's house. What you need to do is to now make your color palette look like the location you're using. So you work with the location instead of changing the location to work with you. There's a difference there, and it's a little deeper than I'm saying it, but get this right. As much as possible, go as close to being perfect as you can, even though we know we have no budget. I want to tell you this. I shot a movie and it's called The Island. It didn't make sense to a lot of people that time when I was looking for nude colors in terms of costumes. I said I wanted nude colors. Everything should be around green, gray, black, and off-white, and dirty brown. But if you watch that movie, everything looks easy on the eye. The secret behind that is simple. It's the color paletting. The secret behind it is the color paletting, and I made sure that the lights we were using fall around tungsten, that's yellow light, so that it just blends with what I'm trying to do. So it is possible, no matter how small the movie you want to do, you can make it work. So the easy way to go about it is just go to Google, type color palettes. You will see different types. You will see the matching colors. You will know what yellow will blend with. You will know what black, purple will blend with. So you will know how to balance these things up. So please don't forget, if you need to make this movie, it will cost you nothing. Go and get a color palette before you go ahead, so that you know exactly where you're driving your movie at. You know exactly where you're driving your grade or your color correction to, so you know what your movie will look like. Well, if you've not subscribed to this channel, please go right down there, subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification button so you'll be notified for the next video. Now, the next time we'll come back, we'll be talking about light, and light. I'll see you on the other side. My name remains Toka McBaror.